Here we are with part 8 of my ongoing set of videos showing how I'm making a narrow gauge steam locomotive model for Trains Railway Simulator, and now I'm going to work on some of the additional details, in particular where the piston meets the connecting rod coming up from the horizontal connecting rod of the driving wheels. So to do this, first thing I'm going to do is to hide all of the other bits and pieces, because I just want to be able to make the crosshead, and that's what I now know it's called, the crosshead. That's this piece here, and I want to add some of this detail here to the piston, and also the slides or guiding pieces that come out from the cylinder which the crosshead moves along. And these are of course set at an angle, but what I'm going to do is make it horizontal first of all, and then remind myself what angle I need to change it to and go from there. So first thing is to make the crosshead, and the way I'm going to do that, yes, it looks pretty straightforward, is to make a box, and I'm going to estimate the height like that, and I'll go for a 3-inch thickness, depth, and it's 10, well, I'll make that 10 3/4 and 9.5. I just like to round those out. Maybe I'll have to adjust them. Now, because the way I'm going to do this is pretty straightforward, I'm going to give it a couple of segments. So it's a box that now comprises 3 parts, and I'm just going to convert that to an editable poly, and then I'm going to pick up the vertices in the middle, and using the what do they call this now, the scaling tool, and on the x-axis only, I'm going to draw those in. So where do we need them? About there. That's right. And then on the y-axis, I'll stretch them up. I'm not sure that looks exactly as the crosshead should. No, I think I'm going to delete that and start again, because that actually is it should be a 5-section box. So try that again. Come down, go in about 3 inches. And I made that 10.75, and I made that 9.5, 9.5, there we are. And instead of 3, I'm now going to make this 5, and convert that to editable poly, and the vertices, and I'm going to select these vertices and my scaling tool, and I want it in the y-axis, so I'm going to take that up there, and then I'm going to take the middle ones and move them apart as well, and then I'm going to change the axis to X and bring them in. How far in should they come? About that much. Back to the y-axis, that angle should be a bit less, I think. Let's have a look in wireframe. So that's the sort of shape that we've got. Highlights, let's have a look. Compare it alongside. Yeah, we're pretty close. Once I rotate that, I think that's pretty close. I'm not sure about the thickness of it, but that'll give us the crosshead. See, I know the name now, so I'm just going to use it again and again, just to show off. And I've got to bring a pin in there, and I've got to give a bit more detail there. But first of all, what I'm going to do is unhide. Let's just unhide it all. Have a look in the wireframe. Okay, now let's get that angle that I should change, turn everything to. That's just my guide. So in order to get the angle, I'm just going to take a box. These are all going to be deleted. Doesn't really need to be 5 sections. And I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to turn it until it's the correct. And I can see it's 5.5, so I think it might be 6. Yes, here we are. It's 6 degrees. Okay, let's write that down before I do anything else. 6 degrees. There you are. I've written it on my printout. Delete that. So I'll leave that for the moment because it might come in handy. And so there's our crosshead, and I'm going to rotate that 6 degrees. There we are. So that should be the same as my piston. And now we just need to move it to center it. Actually, I think we need to center it about here, position it about here. Have another look. Is that right? Let's come back a bit. Hard to place it. Oh, it's right over here by the wheel, isn't it? There we are. Okay, we're going to top-down view because at the moment it's in the middle. Here it's in the middle, and I need to. I'll just center this for the moment, but I need to XREF it in a short while. But I don't want to do it just yet. And I'll use this to position it. Okay, and let's just have a look there. Make sure it's not actually binding on the wheel or anything. No, I think that's going to be okay. Yeah. And now what I want to do is to link it to the piston dummy, which is piston 02. So I'm going to link that to piston 02. So without further ado, let's try the. There we are. So there's the crosshead. So I now know it to be. And let's have a look in wireframe because we want a crosshead to go on the other side as well, and it is just okay, it's just about that amount in there. So I'm going to clone this and I move over to the other side, and I'm going to what did I do? I centered it on the piston, so I'm going to move it to X and Y. I'm actually using the other one to guide it. Let's go about there, doesn't it? What I'll do is I'll pull down the. That's at the correct angle, we know that's at 6 degrees, and so I just need to adjust this down a little bit. Okay, and I'll just move that out of the way, and first thing I need to do is unlink it with the unlink, and then I'm going to link it to the piston. So one, isn't it? Yeah, on the other side, that's flash there to show it's linked to that. So now if we look at the animation, here we are, we have both of the crossheads working well. And as with all these things, it's just a question of adding more. So I need to add to the piston some additional detail, and it looks like there's a sort of a larger cylinder that I can use. So it's this one here, the front, and I'm going to clone it. Okay, and I'm going to, it's over here somewhere, isn't it? It's one of these. So now I'm going to scale it. Okay, and I want to check that it's not bigger than the crosshead. Crosshead's set at 3 inches. Let's maybe take that back. There it is over there. Take it back down a little bit so it's inside the crosshead. Okay, and now I'm going to edit that. I should take this over to here. Go in, have a close look, make sure we're correct. There we are, there's the centre. I'm using this line to centre it, and this one here I'll bring it all the way over to here. Not a particularly long piece, but it is just a distinctive piece fitting of the piston. Okay, and it should be just big enough just to make a difference there. Let's have a look in here, make sure we're in the correct position. What I can do actually is I can change, dummy. Yeah, that's the bit we want. I'm going to change the part of the texture I'm using on it, because it shouldn't be, that's actually using a shiny texture, so we don't want that. So I'm going to use the ordinary texture frames, and this will actually show it's there twice, map 4. But those two together, map 4, map 5, make the shiny version. Map 4 is the dull version. And let's move that just over to there. Just, it's the wrong cylinder that I picked up. So there we are, we don't need that. That's the one there that we want. Like that. Let's unwrap it and move it over, and because it's already linked to the dummy, it'll just move about. It just gives a different, there we are, just gives a slightly different shade of grey, just to give it, pick it out as a detail, which is always worth doing, I think. Let's do the crosshead while we're at it. Use those maps, frames, and again with this one, what I'm going to do is, as I did with the wheels, I'm going to put the sides, I'm going to make them, that is, this bit here is going to be, the outer edge as it were, is going to be this colour, but then this face, or rather these faces, because it's a multi-face, so 5, it's getting a bit, this is the thing, as you build up the meshes they become much more complex, the whole thing becomes more complex. So I'm going to hide unselected, and I'm just going to wireframe, select some faces 1, these are the outward facing faces, there we are, edit those, planar, and make them the same as that, so it's the same as the wheel. And then just as I did with the wheels for the crosshead, I keep using crosshead, now I know, I'm just going to keep showing off that I know the term for it, at least I'm hoping that's right. Planar map, I know the pin that goes through it's called the crosshead pin, so you sort of like to assume that this is correct. So here we are, there's the crosshead. Let's unhide things, have a look at them and see what that looks like. There we go, so, and we've got that sort of fork in the, I think also I do need to have, eventually when I come to increase the detail, I think I need small verticals there with a small gap between them. It appears to be the case on the on the diagram. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clone this one. Okay, and I'm going to move it over, and I'm going to disconnect it, unlink it, and then link it up to piston 1, so the one on that side. But now what I need to do is, it's there, and now I'm going to pick it up and move it up to here, again using the center line position. That's right. I think that's right. Yeah. For this one as well. I think it needs to go up a little bit more. It's also right, so that should be okay over there. Let's have a look. Let's have a quick check in our animation. Yes, that's looking fine. So now we can do this crosshead over here and just do the usual and make the whole thing. This is a quick way I find. If you texture the whole thing in the texture of the largest number of sides, and the largest number of sides on this is the outside, all the way around the outside, and then just pick faces, 5 faces that make up the inside, because we've got 5 segments. So you recall when I made it here, and we're going to planar that and make that black because that's going to be facing inside, and then we're going to do the outside quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't worry about them being skewed over, so long as it's all XREF'd and make sure it is. As long as it's XREF'd, there we are. Should be fine. We'll just collapse that. Center it up. Do the other one. Yeah, definitely needs. There we are, because of that 6 degrees. Okay. Right, now what I want to do is to check that I've got no unnecessary polys being used, and I can also see a problem. Pretty sure I can see a problem, yes. Because I cloned the piston, the polys on the end face, I removed that, and there's a gap there. There's no face on that, so what I need to do here is to change that. So I'm just going to select only that, and not the dummy, not that. Oh, come on, not the piston. I want the piston, and I want that. So pick up that first and then the piston, and I shall hide unselected. Basically what I need to do is rotate this on its center piece. I'm going to do that. turn on constrain, so let's go back and rotate 180 degrees so that face is going to be facing out, and then I think I need to alter this, turn off the constraints, and on the x-axis, I think that's the z-axis, I need to change that 12 degrees because it's a 6-degree incline. There we are. So that should now look right. You always remember these things after you've done it. Let's see if it's going to make it doesn't make any difference on the animation, so that's good. So now all I need to do is to X-ref it again to make sure it's properly positioned. There we are. The dangers of cloning without thinking about what you're doing. Just do the other side. I know this seems pedantic, but like I said, I'm not going to miss out any of the aspects which I'm doing to create this. You're going to see it all. The only thing that I haven't shown you is just repeating that same animation which I've done previously when I realised I'd done it wrong. So again, here what we want to do is make sure we've got this centered, and we're going to rotate it. And then rotate it again, z-axis, 12 degrees. There we are. And X-ref it and make sure that's centered. And check it again with the animation. Yes, that's moving fine. Okay, so we've done a fair bit there for the valve gear. And this really is most of the sort of work that you have to do for this type of model. The only other thing I need to do now is to bring in a couple of boxes above and below the crosshead and put a crosshead pin in. So I'll do that straight away. And what I need to do is have this part of the cylinder, and I need the crosshead, and I'm going to hide everything else, and I just need to bring in a thin box which is going to be no more than an inch thick, and I'm not even sure that's long enough, so we'll make it 3 foot, and which one I've set there, an inch high. Let's just unhide plane number 1, which is the detail. It's this along here that I'm doing, and I'm going to do another one up there, even though it seems to be obscured by the running plate, but we'll see. Of course, if it is completely obscured, then I don't need to even model it, let alone suggest it. So, center, first of all, so let's position it over the crosshead, there we are. And now we just need to rotate it 6 degrees. 6 there, and position it. Needs to be positioned so that the crosshead is sliding along it. Okay, let's just check that on the. Is it long enough? Just about. So what we might do is actually make it a little bit longer. Let's make it 3'3". on the... Now you can spend you could spend a lot of time actually texturing this as if it had a shiny bit where the crosshead is running along it and a dull bit which isn't. If you want to do that, go ahead, but it's going to be, you know, it's mind-numbingly boring. And frankly, all I'm going to do is leave it like that, because that's fine. And I can lose one poly face, wireframe that's come out. Just collapse the whole thing down. So I can save a poly. Now what I need to do is take a copy, edit, clone, move up, as I say, this might be completely obscured by the what do you call that, it's like the top of the main frames. Let's just check that's running inside there, alright. Yeah, looks great. And take it back to 0. Smooth and highlights. And let's take that one and edit, clone. Okay, put a minus in there. And this one. Clone, okay. A minus. Oops. That's for the other side. And now let's just do that pin. Okay, so I'm going to cut this right down to size. 12 is the minimum I go to on these sort of things. 2 inch, looks about right. It's not really very big. And let's move over here to the transom, crosshead. And look down on it. I think just move it in a bit. You're not going to see the inner face anyway, so don't worry about that. Birds of seas, I just want to take this back. Just the x-axis, just enough to show it there. And let's have a look in the wireframe. Polys, we can lose that inner poly. Okay, smooth and highlights. So it's that green thing. And it's already set as far as that's concerned about the, don't need to XREF it. And we just want to set it so that it is, texture it so that it has some contrast with the crosshead. So first of all, the edges of the pin, the external circular side, the bits around here. Let's make them quite dark, and then that face in the middle there, plain R it, and I use another fairly dark grey just to give it a bit of contrast to the crosshead there, so you can see it standing out. And now make sure we've got it centered. Yes, we did do that, didn't we? So now we'll edit, clone, okay, want to rotate it on its vertical axis, and so I'm switched it back onto constraint to 5 degrees, so down the bottom right here, 180, there we are. Right, and this measure here, move over, and that should put it in the correct place on the other crosshead. let's unhide all. And this one is, just remind me, piston 2, so we're going to attach, or we're going to link that to piston 2, because that's going to move with the crosshead. Just jump back, and it's not showing. There it is. It's in the wrong place because it's not. It's the quarter further over. So what we need to do is position it X, no not X, Y and Z. That's the one we want. We don't want it to go in. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, that's alright. And it's going to go to piston 1. So we're going to link it to piston 1. Here we are. So there we are. Now let's have a look, see what our valve gear is really beginning to come together now. Really looking like what it is. And although it's fairly simple, valve gear is not valve shirts or anything. Yeah, it looks pretty good, I think. And it's certainly going to be the visual interest of the model, apart from the when we get the livery going. And you'll notice that the far side is a quarter of the a quarter in advance, no, a quarter behind the left hand side. I forget now which side is meant to be the leading side. Probably the right hand side, probably that one over there, but I'm quite happy with that. That's more than adequate. I'm just looking at the valve gear again on my printout. There isn't much else that I need to add in there. There's a number of meshes, for example sand pipes, sandboxes, bits and pieces there, which I need to do in order to finish off the whole bogey. But eventually what that is going to be is a separate model in its own right, which will be attached to the main body through that BR main and BR and A, the attachment point. So this is the attachment point down here. So there should be a box there with BR main, A main, BR main. There it is. Select. There it is. It's just not showing up very well. So this is an attachment point, and BR main is going to be the head. This particular BR main is going to be head of the hierarchy for the bogey, for this bogey. And this attachment point here is going to be on the body file of the model. So when that loads, that's what you actually load into trains, and then this bogey is a dependency of that one. And so the first thing that it does in the config sys is it has an attachment point there, and it says at that attachment point attach this bogey, and so it will use BR main to attach to that point there. Sort of. No, that's not quite true. I'm using an a.bog and then a number, but a bogey attachment point. So that actually has got the wrong name on it. I'm going to lose that because I don't think it really does anything. Actually, it's not really useful. But the BR main is definitely useful, and I'm going to talk about that now, just briefly. So there it is. And I'm going to work in this because I want to show you the subtree, and this is the indent. Every time it indents, it's Conrod 01 and Conrod 02 is reliant on and controlled by Axle 01. So the animation that Conrod 01 and Conrod 02 provide, first of all, they're controlled by this. So whatever animation is provided by this dummy, these do it. And then we've edited those to add additional animation to this, but only for these linked items. So in other words, this tells the axle to rotate, and these here are that's the axle itself, the cylinder, and these are the two wheels. And then we have two subsidiary dummies which do what this tells it to do, but then also they have their own special animation which brings the conrod, instead of it swinging around like a great arm, it now just goes up and down, up and down, up and down correctly, kept in a horizontal fashion. And that's essentially what we did when we got it down to that, changed it by 120 degrees each 10 frames. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select all of the dummies which are at the base level, at this lowest level, apart from BR main. So that's the 3 axles, not these because they're already attached to that, not these two because they're already attached to that. So all of those, that's the 3 axles and the 2 piston dummies. I'm going to select those and then I'm going to link them to, and it'll only offer me things that aren't linked. I'm going to link it to BR main, because that is going to be the attachment point, that BR main, or whatever it is now. That's not it, is it? Is it this one? No, it's conrod. Maybe it's that one. Yeah, there it is. That is where the that's where the bogey is positioned at the moment. So just to show you, let's first of all save this. Version 2 number 2 now. Yes. So if for example I was to pick up BR main and move it around, you'll see what happens. Because everything is now attached to it through the other dummies, apart from the pieces which aren't animated. So the next thing I need to do is make sure everything is going to, the whole bogey is going to be a single piece. To hide these pieces. Make sure if there's anything else out there. There it is. Hide that. And hide that. Now I'll look in my objects. And here we are. Here we've got some meshes that aren't animated. This is what makes up the cylinders and the pistons. So I'm going to pick all those up. There they all are, look at the front. And I'm now going to attach them, link them to BR main. And if we look in the hierarchy box, we'll see that they've now all moved over, which means they're not at the top of the hierarchy, they're not independent. So that means now if I was to move this about, everything moves, because it's all connected together now, but I'm not going to, don't want it to move. Okay, so that essentially gets the main part of the bogey done, and let's bring everything back in, because the next thing that I want to do is to start on the main body of the locomotive, and that includes creating the frames below the boiler and all the rest of it. And but before I even do that, my next session is not even going to be in Gmax. It's going to be in a drawing program. It's going to be in something like freehand, I think, something like that. A really old drawing program, vector drawing program. When you've got all sorts of types of drawing programs that you can use. So this is just one of them, and because what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the livery that appeared on these locomotives. So I'm going to create the livery for the saddle tank, and then I'm going to texture it, because that can be quite complex, and you've got to be a bit crafty about it, because you don't want a massive heavy texture which is of an enormous size, which is going to really bloat out the overall file of your locomotive. It gets the CDP that gets uploaded into trains. Okay, so there we are. That's enough of that. And so please subscribe to my channel. Please leave a comment. Please ask questions. Please give me a thumbs up if you want to. If you subscribe, you don't get any emails from me. You don't get harassed. I don't know who you are, but it does encourage me to do more. and so the more subscribers I get, the more I will do. But I'm going to carry on with this over the next few tutorials, because I think this is quite a useful way of seeing how I at least put a logo together, and it's probably different to everybody else, and I'm probably making lots and lots of mistakes and doing things much more in a much more complicated way than I really need to. But this works for me, and if you like the models that I've made, and you can see in my railway history series, which is also on YouTube, then I think you'll find this will produce a satisfactory result for you as well.